talk about the economy. A new Gallup poll found that more Americans believe the economy and stock market will improve over the next 6 months. This poll found that 50% say that the stock market will be going up, 25% expect it to fall, 17% think that it will stay the same. On economic growth, 49% expect an increase, 36% predict a decline. Alex, what do you make of this poll? What do you put this down to?
So this is one of several poll results that say kind of the same thing that I have noted over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. They all ask slightly different questions because the economy is irredeemably politicized. And when you ask people if they approve of the economy, then that tracks really tightly with their approval of the president. And so where you can see improvements is where you have a trend. And this was one of those polls where you have a trend in more people saying now compared to a few months ago that the economy is improving or that they expect things to get better. They expect their own situation to improve. We have seen that in our own polling at Signal. I've seen that in several other sources. And so what that tells me is that the affordability messaging that the White House is doing is, I think, working. The plans that the White House has put into place through the One Big Beautiful Bill and through the entire economic plan that he has instituted since coming in, I think it is starting to work and that Americans are starting to feel it. It happens slowly. The economy is like an aircraft carrier. It takes a really long time to turn, but the momentum is definitely in the right direction just based on the number of signals that are moving the right way.
Yeah, Josh, what do you make of this? I think it certainly shows confidence, but is that going to be enough to help Republicans in the midterms?
So, Gabrielle, this is a huge switch, actually, from as recently as 2 months ago. So Alex, not me, is the polling guru here on this panel. But if memory serves, it was early December that I saw a poll from a group that I never heard of called American Research Group. I don't really know how reputable they are. I've never heard of them. But I remember seeing this poll, and it was basically an are you better off or are you worse off than 1 year ago style question. And according to that poll about 2 months ago, early December, 65% of Americans said that they were worse off financially than 1 year ago. Only 7% actually said that they were better off. And then there was a healthy chunk that said that there was no discernible difference there. Now, admittedly, that poll was talking about the past. This is a prospective poll talking about the future. But still, I mean, pessimism versus optimism, that's a really big switch. And these are just one polls there, but as Alex says, it actually is part of a broader trend. So I agree that what the White House is saying right now and how they're messaging, it seems to be working. And I can't necessarily pinpoint one thing, right? I can't necessarily say that this was the sent testimony from Secretary Scott Bessent that necessarily overcame the mainstream media disinformation hoax, or this was the statement, or this was the data there. I think it's kind of just the death by 1,000 cuts of really what has been this corporate media disinformation hoax. I mean, the notion that affordability has been a grave crisis in the Trump administration, especially relative to the baseline of the Biden economy that he inherited, is frankly, it's a farcical notion. I mean, gas prices are at least 5-year lows. Oftentimes, in some states, are actually even lower than that. 4.4% is the most recent quarterly GDP number that we have. Inflation overall hovering around 2.6, 2.7%. That's still higher on a month-over-month basis than it should be. The Federal Reserve targets 2%, but it's manageable. It's not particularly crazy there. So whatever the administration is doing, again, I can't pinpoint to like one data point there, but the trend is definitely a positive direction. Right now, they kind of just need to keep it up because if there is one thing that can stave off what still looks like a fairly daunting and intimidating midterm elections for the GOP this fall, it would be, I think, continued success on the economic front.